Welcome back to The Seven Deadly Sins, Anime Review, Episode 82. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to do this last night. I got distracted with an app last night on my phone. That's the reason why I wasn't able to do it. So, we are here reviewing the episode 36 of the series of The Seven Deadly Sins, The Four Nights of the Apocalypse, which sadly also is the final episode of Season 2. And the episode is called Banquet for the Braves. Banquet for Braves. Yes, I thought the second season would last for a little bit longer. Like, I thought it would last for 24 episodes. But that's not going to be the case, because they said it ended this one after only 12 episodes. Which makes it, for this franchise, the Seven Deadly Sins anime had 4 seasons of 24 episodes apiece. Every for a combined total of 48 episodes. If you count the miniseries for airing wise, that's like a little over, I'd say about 52 episodes overall aired, plus having about 3 movies. 1 that came out during the show, and 2 that came after the show. The second one was mostly a 2-part prelude to this very series. That being, of course, the Grudge of Edinburgh, which I love the story for the movie. The biggest problem I had in the movie was the CGI. That was the only slight problem. I love the voice acting. I think the voice acting is fantastic. The voice acting, the music. Not the biggest fan of the CGI they gave the movie. They did it a little bit in the previous movie, Curse of Light. Though that was for the Supreme Being. I'm glad I was limited to her because the movie was fantastic. That movie mostly served as a in-between thing. Like, it took place right after the conclusion of the Holy War, and about 16 years prior to, I would say about a month of the war ended, and the next movie took place about 5 years prior to events to the show. Yes. So, here we are at the last episode of season, and this probably lasts review for a while for Seven Deadly Sins, until whenever Season 2 comes out. So, in the case of this episode, they adapted, so it turns out, yes, they partially had Chapter 17 117 last episode, but they adapted the first 3 pages. This episode adapted pretty much the rest, pages 4 to 20, the entirety of chapters 118, 119, and the first 12 pages of chapter 120. If you're curious, 120 is roughly 20 pages. Which means with this episode, they are pretty much in a way almost done. Adapted, sorry. Yes, because they adapted pretty much to 119 fully. So they had pretty much about 9 more chapters left to go. And that was it. So, mostly put, here's what happened. So it was revealed last episode that Percival is a spirit inhabiting a host's body. He doesn't buy it, of course, and then eventually he leaves, and eventually being stops. Yes, and by the way, all that action happened. Well, of course, they were fighting. I think Lancelot was stopping the samurai with them. Turns out his name was Nashi, which means nothing, which means nameless. I'm sure the name is a partial nod to the original subtitle for the name of Seven Deadly Sins, which is, if you're curious, it is Nasuhu no Tatasi. That is kind of in a way, so his alias, Nashishi, is a sort of, in a way, a partial, like I said, it feels like what they did with it is that they kind of do a partial nod to it, which I do appreciate the fact that the character is a partial nod to it, which makes sense because I'm the same person. So Lancelot fights him. It turns out he's actually from the Goddess clan. Of course, Lancelot stops with his foot. Yes, stops a katana. Yes, a katana in this series. A weapon made from Japan, or the land of the sun, as they might call it. And he's part of the Goddess clan. I find that kind of weird. In fact, he looks like a samurai. My guess is the reason why he was included here is because the show comes from Japan, so they want to probably include a Japanese equivalent of a character equivalent to someone from Japan, probably a samurai, which makes the most sense. I mean, you can't exactly put a modern day Japanese man in this setting, so a samurai makes total sense. Making part of the Gaius clan is an interesting idea, especially since, well, he's a samurai. Lanza fights him, and then after Persia wakes up, of course, and after oh yeah, Behemoth went to sleep, and then of course Moloch basically proceeds to challenge him to a duel, which Percival accepts, and then of course basically like Rosebank proceeds to get back his Percival sword, which he's had for the last few episodes, and then the Wisdom of Another Dimension. And before I continue with that, I want to talk about basically, so they continue fighting for a bit, and it's like most of the rest of this episode is taking place in Other Dimension. So what's the other group doing? Not much. Of course, Guanan basically is thrown right at them when the ground starts shaking. And of course, Dory proceeds to catch her with his telekinesis as for the dimension. Now, they have this monument behind them, both of them. And Percival, the top thing for him is his grandfather with all his friends. Moloch is basically, the other person for him is, well, pretty much Percival's cousin. And his name is Doris. Not Dolores, Denora. Yeah. So basically, he does go into detail about basically his mother, Bridget, who's actually Moloch's sister, which kind of suspect that due to the fact that, well, Ironside is basically his brother. So of course, basically, that his wife would have to be Moloch's sister. But the one thing mentioned here is his sister is 5 years older than he is, and the way it's shown here is the fact he had no problem with the fact that she got married to Ironside. For what way it's presented here, it seems like he was very happy for her, despite the fact she was kind of taking care of him because the mother passed away, and also the father was abusive toward him. So then, of course, she started getting sick when flesh of the Demon King falls on her, which I'm like, how the heck is that even possible? Given the fact that battle was like miles away. That's a big question mark, and that I don't fault the anime for that. I fault the manga for that. For saying that the flesh from the Demon King, which, by the way, they're fighting Demon King in the final, pretty much the penultimate arc of the previous series, which, interesting they mentioned him, given the fact that man has been dead for years. In terms of manga, the man's been dead for 16 years. In terms of publication-wise, if you're really curious, I'm trying to see what the so in terms of the ant of the manga, he's been dead since chapter 343, which came out in 2020. The anime, he's been dead since episode 20 of the fourth season, which came out 4 years ago, next year. So yeah, in terms of the manga, he's been dead for about almost 5 years now, and in terms of the anime, he's been dead for almost 4. So after explaining pretty much basically the stuff related to that, and then of course takes off his helmet, showing his face, which looks his face looks a lot like Dory. Because I saw his face, and now his nephew, like long hair. You think it's a girl? No, it's a boy. Which, yes, if anybody's ever seen Mortok's face, yeah, he looks exactly like his nephew. And despite the fact they're not father and son, no, they're just uncle and nephew. And the only reason why that Percival's older brother looks exactly like Morlock is because his mother was Morlock's sister. That's the only reason why. And I'm glad the fact he does explain that in the series. He explained that here, and the fact that the mother died because of exposure to the Demon King's flesh, and then the only way for three to survive, basically Ironside, Morlock, and the baby Dodora, is to go to the kingdom of Camelot in the Chaos Dimension, which is apparently the only way for him to survive, which I'm like, how the heck is that possible? Which, by the way, if you curse Dora, he only technically appears physically in person for 2 story arcs. He appeared in the Wonak arc, which was arced out for the very season, and the current arc of the manga. Which, if you're curious, only started this past June. Yes. And the most recent chapter came out just not that long ago. Oh, it came on Christmas Day. I haven't read the newest chapter yet, but in terms of basically, like, well, it's a good episode overall, and definitely looking forward to the very next episode, whenever the next season, whenever it comes out. But, and this is quite obvious for season 3, it's going to finish Daphne Demon Realm, which that is quite obvious because it's like 9 chapters left to go, and not a big surprise, the fact that this arc would end this season, given the fact Chaos Leonis, which is 2 arcs for this one, and this arc is roughly 31 chapters, so I think Demon Realm is tied. Let's see, no, it's not tied, it's only 25, it's only like the second longest arc of the whole series, so not a big surprise. The fact that this would end with this one, but the next couple arcs are not very long. When I do Camelot, it's similar to the Wonak arc. It's not very long. It is like 8 chapters. So, if they want to continue adapting Demon Realm, my guess is that for the remaining about 8.5 chapters to adapt, this will probably take about 3 episodes to cover this stuff. Yes, I'd say 3. But how long will Infiltration last for? If they want to adapt this too quickly per se, because Camelot Infiltration, which is the very next arc of the series, that's the 3rd and most recent arc of the manga. Yep. And that's only 8 chapters. Actually, like 9. And this will also take about, well, if I were them, I would have it take up about, not, you think basically 8, you think 9 chapters, 3 episodes. If I were the anime, I would stretch out a little bit for this arc because this arc is very important. If I were the anime, I would have it, if I was studio, I would have this not last for 3 episodes, I would have it last for 4. Yes. and have the last episode adapt the last chapter of that arc and start the very next arc of the series, which is Fairy Realm. Fairy Realm, let's see, is 10. It's like 16 chapters, and this one, I would have it last. You think 16? 4? No, not 4. Be about 5. No, I would have this. I would have each episode cover just 2 chapters, just to make sure no depths too quickly. But if you push it for 3, fine. If you push it for 3, that means this will be done in about 6 episodes. But on the safe side, if you want this to last a little longer, I would have this cover about 8 episodes. Mm-hmm. And would you end season 2 there? Season 4? Yes. I would definitely have season 4 end with this particular season, this arc. And that means it'll give the current arc plenty more time to adapt. But the question is, like, when will this arc come out? I don't know. I have no idea. Fairy Realm, if you're really curious, when did it start and finish? Fairy Realm started back in February of this year. Mm-hmm. And the last chapter was released back in June. Campbell Infiltration, that started in November of last year, and the final chapter was released just this past February. Demon Realm, which this was the arc that the anime basically was working on. It actually started back in April of last year, and the final chapter of this arc was released back in November. So I'm thinking by the time... So it says here that 128 is into part 1 of the manga. Mm-hmm. It would just depend upon exactly like how long we're going to have this last for. But if I were the studio making this one, which, if you're really curious about who makes the anime, it's not, I don't think it's Studio Dean this time. I think it's it's Telecom Animation Film. They're the ones who make the season. Mm-hmm. They're the ones who make it. It's not Studio Dean this time. Though I'm pretty sure that the animation style is still the same for the previous series. Yes. I do appreciate that. I've been back reviewing this thing for quite a while, actually. Yeah, if you're really curious, like, how long ago did I resume reviewing Seven Deadly Sins? When they brought back the this review series. I only brought it back this past September when I talk about the 2 films and, well, basically kind of 3 films actually, and then talk about the first season show, which was amazing. And then I waited for the start of the season, which aired just about 2 weeks after I finished reviewing it, and now pretty much I'm done. Yep. And I can kind of see why they picked at this point to end the season. Why stop halfway to 120? Quite simple, really. Because there's only 55 chapters of that for the whole series. If they went any further, if I were the series, I would have continued. My guess is they probably would end an odd number. Like, they could have, if they wanted to, they could have had this thing last about 3 more episodes, thus capping out the Demon Realm arc. But no, we have the end right here. It's probably to get the manga more time, and probably the reason why they greenlit the second season when they did, probably because there was probably plenty of material at that point. But now there's not a lot per se. No, like I said, only 55 chapters. Actually, like 54 and a half, because well, they adapted about half of like chapter 120. So You can probably get, as of currently, get maybe a season and a half of what's there for the manga. They might wait a year before they probably release another season. My guess is probably we'll get season 4 into season 3 maybe until late next year, maybe. It's my personal guess. I haven't heard anything about season 3 or not. I would love a season 3 because this was really enjoyable. And here's something interesting though. Approximately 1 month from now, this season released on Netflix. Yes, I watched it some other site. I'm not gonna say what site it is because I do not want to take it down. But I'm looking forward when they release the dub of the season. Yes. Maybe we're gonna do 2 cores this one. I'm not sure. There's no info about this one. But there is an anime. Excuse me. One thing I would talk about today. That is going to be an announcement for that one because I'm not happy with it. But you'll find out what it is later on. So that's pretty much a particular review. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do this like button. Next up is my review for My Isekai Life, and after that, it's on to Blue Exorcist. Okay, let's go. Bye.